Hi, everybody. Thanks to everyone who came to the meeting tonight at Cuba Ocho. It was a little bit loud. We got kind of pushed to the back, but we had a really great meeting outside. I just want to do a recap of the meeting because it was too loud and too sunny at that location. So we had a lot of great ideas, a lot of sharing, a really good collaboration, which is what the focus should be. It should be a group effort, a collaboration. Make sure none of the project gets repeated, and that we get a lot of input, so we can get some digital records outside of Cuba, so for us to use in the United States. So I just want to go over the PowerPoint presentation, and then I'll go over some of the notes that we took to give you more insight of what we talked about at the meeting. Okay, so let's go to the PowerPoint presentation and we'll talk you through it. So my name is Brian Toscobello. I was just a little bit frustrated because I can't find any of my family data on Ancestry or find my past or any of those websites. So I thought it was time we should start trying to digitize that information for ourselves. So a little bit about me. I worked for the International Monetary Fund for 9 years, worked with large amounts of statistical data. So I'm really familiar with big databases and metadata and how to treat the data, how to keep it, how to maintain it. The focus for this project, I would think, would be an index focus to make sure that we're capturing those indexes and not all the individual records at first. Getting the index will help us get to our research quicker and not be such an overwhelming project that it slows us down. It'd be great to set up a genealogist network in Cuba, a little list for us to reference so we have people to go to. Talk about that a little bit later. Cemetery records, there's less than 1% cemetery records online on findagrave.com, so that would be a major focus where would help my research. Then we talked about funding, about doing a nonprofit, about different ways to get a grant. We talked about those things. We also talked about the importance of family history. Super important that you're taking notes when you're talking to your grandparents and your aunts and uncles and relatives to get that information that's not written down anywhere. That really saved me. Then at the end, we'll talk about recommendations and an action plan. So this is my story. This is my Victoria. She was from Placetas. She died before the movie Coco came out, but this story had a lot of meaning for me, this movie. And I just want to know more about my Cuban family and about my heritage. This is the problem I'm having. As you can see, I have my grandmother, and I have my great-grandfather, but I'm missing his siblings. I have the names but no dates, and I don't have any dates for these people yet either. So I need to go to some cemeteries and maybe visit some churches, because I don't really have many. I think it's Placetas, but I don't really know. And a cemetery trip would help me immensely. As I said earlier, the importance of oral history. You got to write your notes down so you have a launching pad. Collaboration is the most important thing to me. I want to share this information. I want to help other people. Why Cuba? Cuba is the third largest Latino group in the United States. There's 1.7 billion Cuban Americans in the U.S. I'm not included in that census because my parents never married. So this is actually a larger number, I would think, because there are people like me that are half Cuban that don't fit into that statistic. And family heritage. You see the DNA commercials on TV all the time to connect to your past and to tell your personal family stories. So we talked about parish records. According to the Catholic Church Directory website, there are 228 Catholic churches in Cuba. There was a project done in Santiago de Cuba for some slavery records. So there has been some digitization in Cuba, just on a very small scale. And one topic that came up is I thought it would be a good idea to get the Catholic Heritage Archive involved. It's not an exact fit. It's the UK and Ireland. They have the Catholic records for those two geographic regions, and they're working on projects in New York, Philadelphia, and Baltimore. So I can talk about that later. Some people thought it might not be a good idea to have Catholic heritage involved if these records would be owned by a for-profit type website. For me personally, it's not that important that it's profit or not profit, just that it's easily available and hopefully all in one place. This is an inventory. This isn't an index. This is an inventory of what would be helpful for us to know which churches, which parishes have what documents and for what years. So as you can see, this has marriage records, and they did it by race, and then they have baptisms and death records. So this would be super useful. This was given to me from a Facebook contact, and this is from the El Señor del Santo Calvario Church. So this would be an amazing thing to get digitized. So we have a digital record of what records are out there. So ideally, like all 228 churches, if we could get this inventory, that would be ideal. This is the index. So once you get an inventory, if you can do an index, you get the names, last names, first names, and then you get where to find those records. So this is where I believe we should start, is with these indexes. Trying to manually copy every single page in these archives right now would be a little bit overwhelming, but at least the indexes, so researchers know where to go to get those original documents. Cemetery records online, there's less than 1%. The Cementerio Colón on Find a Grave has only 36 records really. So there's a lot of work that can be done here. So Find a Grave is owned by Ancestry.com. Find a Grave, cemetery records are usually governed by the municipalities, and I don't think there'd be a lot of problems getting photos of those records. So this is Placetas. This is where I think my relatives are, and this is the closest I can get to that. If you can see from Google Maps, you can definitely see it's a cemetery, and some of the cemeteries, from what I hear, are not in good shape, but I would like to at least go see what's there. There could be some surprises and some useful information for me. So now we get to the recommendations. A nonprofit would be an amazing way to get the project started, to get some momentum, to start having funds to get these digitizations moving. Establish a Cuba genealogist list in Cuba for us to network with and to find some of our records until we get some of those indexes. We need to focus on the indexes and those inventories that we just saw, and then getting other Cuban organizations involved, networking with them. Roots Tech is the largest genealogy conference in the world. That's coming up February 27th in 2019 in Salt Lake City. And then a podcast. I will start looking to doing a podcast later this summer. This is a possibility. So this is going to have to be very flexible. So phase one, to establish a researcher network in Cuba to bridge those gaps until we get the digitization going. We don't really want to slow down getting those records. We don't want to wait 6 to 12 months to 2 years, 5 years. So phase two, we get a few more regions, and then phase three and beyond, get the rest of the 15 regions. This is just a little information about the largest Cuban populations. Obviously, South Florida has the most. We have New York, we have Tampa, Los Angeles, Orlando, Chicago, Las Vegas. So there's really a lot of people out there that we can bring into this project. So how can you help? If you can refer any researchers that you know in Cuba that would like to be part of a more structured organization, that would be amazing. I'll give you my email address. Let us know which provinces and repartos need prioritizing. We need help transcribing existing projects like with the Cuban Genealogy Club of Miami. We need to really make sure that we're attending their events and networking with the Cuban Genealogy Club of Miami. Their next meeting is June 9th out at FIU. You can find that information on their website. I won't be at that meeting. I leave in the morning for a study program in Havana at the Instituto de Filosofía. Let us know if there are any friendly parishes in Cuba. We could start with them first. We also have to come up with a plan of action. We have to search for grants to support the projects. And we need to seek allies also in the U.S., like Cuban priests, even American priests living in Florida, for example, that would be able to help us network and get those relationships built. We have to build these relationships to get this project moving forward. This is me, Brian Toscobello. I just launched that website today, so it's not going to have much information yet, but it's digitalcuba.org@gmail.com. If you'd like to join the mailing list, information about the podcast, and we'll send out the notes from tonight's meeting. So that's pretty much my presentation. We also went and I did a little handout. So it just talked about me, talk about doing the index focus, the cemetery records, and we talked about the pros and cons of the Catholic Heritage Archive, which I'll talk about which I'll bring up later in the summer. How can you help? Collaboration is key. Help refer research in Cuba. We talked about those things. That's pretty much it. We had a lot of really great ideas. There's my email address for this project, and there's the website we just launched today, so we're going to start adding more and more information to it. So the next steps would be to network with the Cuban Genealogy Club of Miami. We're going to email them. A lot of the people that were at the meeting tonight are also going to be at that June 9th meeting. So the more people involved, the bigger our network is, the more impact we can have. I believe the next meeting after that is in August or September. I'll definitely try to be at that FIU meeting. If not, we're going to establish some more meetings in the Miami area. It would be great to do more research in Los Angeles, in New York, New Jersey. So I might have to pop up there and do a little bit of networking. If you have any questions, please email me. I will be on Cuban email the next 4 weeks, so it might be a little bit slow, but I'll definitely get back to you when I get back. So thanks again to everyone who came to the meeting. If you have any ideas, any questions, please email me, and we'll together, we'll get this going. As Rich said at the meeting, the records are there. We just have to finesse our way to them. And we also talked about the storytelling, about what this means, who we are as a people, who we are as individuals and as families, and how this project is going to really help us enrich our family trees. So thanks again to everyone who came, and please stay tuned. We have a lot more exciting news coming up. I'm potentially going to be interviewed by Voices of America in July when I get back from this trip to talk about doing my research projects, these research projects in Cuba. So it's very exciting. I'll keep you all posted, and we'll start doing a podcast, reaching out to other people, and really grow the network. So thank you everybody for coming. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you like the live cast. Please PM me on Facebook or send me an email. I'd love to hear you and get as many ideas going as possible. So gracias y buenas noches. Thank you. Bye-bye.